Everybody, it's Lyn from Lyn's Crafts. I have got a triangle book share to share with you. A triangle book tutorial to share with you. These are two triangles. They're 8.5 across the bottom, 7 inches up from the midway point, 8 inches down each side. It seems strange, but that was in order to fit them on a 12 by 12. So these can be cut out of a 12 by 12 piece of chipboard. This is a cereal box, my go-to in this instance, and this is a 8.5 by 2 inch spine. I'm going to cut these out. I've actually got a couple of spare pages already cut that are just the 1/8 inch smaller on each side. Alright? I don't know how many of these we'll need. So I'll cut these and then I'll be back. Okay, now I've got a roll of like medical tape, and I'm gonna just line these up. Now I want to leave a gap for the paper to fold into so that it doesn't break. Okay. Okay, just put it up the halfway point there. And unfortunately, I've got to turn it over. Alright. Now I just need to trim the ends. And I'll be back. What I've got here is some, it's actually decoupage. It's from Americana, and it's the matte. I like the matte. And I've got some shipping paper, some brown shipping paper that I got out of the package. So I'm going to cover the outside. But first of all, I'm going to measure out a bit. So try to be as ungainly as possible here. Yeah, something like that. So I'm going to cut this down and I'll be back. Okay, I've just kind of traced out the shape a little bit and I'm going to crumple it. good to get all those wrinkles really in there. And I'm going to probably do that like 30 times. Try to crumple it a different way each time. Twice might be good. Okay, I've got a tear in the paper right here, so I'm gonna make sure that I avoid that area. Make sure I did avoid that area. Okay, so I'm going to cut 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch away from where I drew the line. Provided I can still see it. That's when I can see it on this end, but when it gets down here, it becomes invisible. So, alright, I'll trace it again. And I'll be back. Now I'm going to cut like 3/4 of an inch away from the edge that I just drew. I got adhesive on my scissors and they don't want to cut. Okay, then cut straight across the end, about 1/8 of an inch away from the tip. Okay, now I'm going to cover that where the pencil lines will be to the inside. Okay. So, I'm just going to use the Mod Podge to glue this down. And I'll be back. Okay, now I'm just going to snip a couple of relief cuts. At the spine area. Sorry, it's off camera. Okay, now I'll just Mod Podge and seal down the edges. Okay, you get the general drift. I'll glue it down all the way around and I'll be back. Okay, now I've got this paper pack from Oriental Trading. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's actually a really cool set. So I'm gonna choose a lining paper for the inside. Okay, this is important. You want to watch the orientation if you've got a pattern. And when you're going to trace the shape on the paper, but when you do, you make sure you don't flip it over. You want it to be on the same side. So I'm just going to trace the shape, and then I will be back. Okay, then I'm going to bump the camera. Then I'm gonna leave about a 1/4 inch gap, and turn my ruler to the correct side. Just gonna do this all the way around. Somehow I knew I drew that one off. Then I'm going to cut it out on the smaller line. So I'll do that and then I'll be back. Okay, once again I'm going to glue this down with the deco page, or whatever it's called, decoupage. You just gotta use enough of it, excuse me, to basically, you're trying to saturate the paper. You're gonna do that not only for better gluing, but you also you want it to fold around the fold. You want it to fold in the spine better. There we go. Lay it down right, it helps. I'm doing all this while it's still wet, because once it dries, these now 3 layers is really going to help with the strength. And once again, I did not get it right. There we go. Well, good enough. Okay, but before it's had a chance to dry, want to find those folds with a bone folder or whatever you're using as a bone folder. I used to use the edge of my scissors. Alright. Okay, just a touch under this corner right here. Alright. I'll need to rinse my brush. And I'll let this dry and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to let it dry interior down because it's wanting to curve that way. And I'll probably put a little weight just to help it dry flat. Alright? And then I've gone and picked out another one of the, sorry about all the uhs, another one of the dragon eyes. I chose a black one because it will paint better. It will show the shadows better. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry and then I'll be back. Okay, now I have this Stampers Anonymous Tim Holtz stencil. It's the brick stencil. Any brick stencil will do. I'm gonna have to do this in 3 sections. And I'm using the Light and Fluffy Modeling Paste by TCW, the Crafters Workshop. And mine is almost empty. Okay. Complete coverage isn't completely necessary. But I'm gonna try and keep it on the thicker side. In other words, I'm not gonna scrape down on the stencil quite so hard. Down here on the bottom, it's a little harder to fill up just because you're so close to the fold. Alright, so I'm just going to do both sides down the middle, and then I'm going to let it dry. So, just so you have the satisfaction of seeing what it looks like when I pull it up. So, there we go. Alright, I'm gonna do the rest. No, I'm gonna do this middle and then I'll be back. Okay, while this is drying, I just wanted to hit on again why I left part of the modeling paste a little thicker. I want it to have that uneven look that bricks have, especially on the pyramids. So while this is drying, I've got one of these labels, and I've got two little bitty, these happen to be flowers, but they could be screws, they could be bolt heads, they could be whatever you want. These little flowers just came from the Art Nouveau molds. This is the one that's got the big face with the two little faces and the little bitty flowers. So those are what I used. They just happen to have two of the same size of the flower, the regular pansy type flowers, and these these other type flowers. I'm not really good at flowers, but these are going to be for the spine. I just left the label blank in the middle so you can add whatever you want. So I'm going to glue these down with .3D matte gel, just because it happens to be what I have. So these are from the Art Nouveau molds, and this is the, I believe, Labels 1. Yeah. Object Labels 1. And there are probably some others I could use on here. I could use any of them, actually. But, this just happens to be the one I have for, so that's the one I'm going to use. Now, I'm going to apply this pretty thick because I want it to have some gripping power. This is a little out of level. So, just gonna guesstimate where the middle is. Then these little flowers, I'm just gonna put 1/2 inch, 5/8, something like that. And yes, this 3D matte gel, when you get it on you, is a booger to get off. It is 100 times worse than putting glue on your hands. So, I'm just gonna let these dry, and then I'll be back to do the other parts of the stencil. Alright, this is now dry. I can continue on. And finish up the sides. Alright, you'll still get a little bit of a demarcation line, but it won't be too noticeable. It was a little more noticeable on this one because I didn't wait for it to dry in between. Okay? So I just line it up. My light and fluffy is starting to get a little bit thick because it's down at the bottom, I think. I love this stuff. Okay, I'll continue on and be back. Okay, I've just chosen one of the eyes from the video that I did a while back, a couple of videos ago. And again, I'm going to slather quite a bit on the back because of the rough texture. Okay, and I'm going to place it sort of close to the top. Okay, something like that. And then I'm just going to let that dry a little bit just so it doesn't move around. And then I'm going to coat the whole thing with black gesso. I want it to have an even texture for everything to grab hold of. So, I'll be back when that's dry. Okay, now I've taped off the inside. Just to let me go around the edges. Okay. Now, I probably should have done this. First, I should have wrapped the outside and put the end papers on last. But I didn't, so. Alright, I'll finish around the edge and then I'll be back when it's dry. Okay, I've decided to go with some gray. This is a pewter gray. I've got some white. This is snow, titanium white. Last time I went with this. And the reason I'm going with the gray this time is because it's an actual brand. This is, I have no idea what it is. So, this is what I used the last time. It's probably like a roasted caramel, a camel, something like that. I could probably find a deco art, something or other, to go along right beside it, but I want it to be different. Okay, so on this one, I did the camel, dry brushed it on, then okay, I think my SD card must have been full. I did the gray all over dry brushed, and then I 50-50 the gray with white, and then did it over again just to give it a little bit of a two-tone. Then I did some edging with the Americana dark chocolate. Went around the eye a bit to give it a little more detail. I think that's where we're at now. So I've got a smaller stencil brush and two of the Rust Effect paste by Bar Prima. The red rust and the brown rust. Real original color titles, but I didn't do the two color rust on the last one because the brown was already too similar to the brown that I used to go around the edge. This time though, I'm really wanting the texture. So I'm going to go on the eyelid quite a bit to give it some texture. And then I'm going to just try to scrub a bit around. Okay, and then I'll do the red rust while the brown is still wet. if I can. I think I want a little smaller brush. Again, something really stiff though. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said have your water on hand. A little spray mister of water. That's what I want, is for it to drip. I want it to have a little bit of staining. There we go. I'll help it along a little bit. There we go, and let that dry. And then I'll do a little bit of accordion binding in the inside with just some blank pages. I'll come back and show you after that's done. I'll quickly show you the accordion binding. Okay, I've scored every half inch, a little more than halfway down this sheet of 8.5 by 11. I went ahead and drew it in pencil just so it'd be a little easier to see. I don't know if I did any help, but I'm just gonna fold it on every one. I'm not gonna leave a gap in between like I normally would, because I'm just putting paper in here. So I'm gonna fold this and then I'll be back. Okay, as you can see, this is what I mean by an accordion fold. It's just like you did in elementary school. I'm gonna glue it. I'm gonna glue it down to the end paper itself instead of to the spine. It will be free floating. In other words, I'm not gonna glue the particular splines down. Okay, here it is. Just a quick, fun little book. I say quick, it took forever, but got some rust streaks. I like the antiquing. It looks really nice. You could spray it with some matte sealer if you wanted. I'll have to clean that eye a little bit. Alright, but it's ready to go. So, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll try to remember to put the links down below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.